Cosmic here, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about the first month of Union Arena. Now, there's a lot to cover between sold out events, insane sales on TCG Player and making top 10, and just some, well, overall thoughts on the industry overall. As I was putting this video together, there's just a lot of interesting data that I uncovered, so there's going to be a lot to cover on that side as well. But I realized from between tweeting or the Facebook group, I haven't really done a video kind of rounding up everything, so that's exactly what I wanted to do with this today, and just kind of, again, give an update overall and where things are at. But that said, there was a major announcement, so let's have a look at that first. So yes, up first, we have to talk about Sword Art Online being confirmed for North American Union Arena. Now, yes, we did also get Black Clover and Full Metal Alchemist, which I think will be popular enough in their own right. Even though I haven't watched Black Clover, I'm really excited for one of the decks because it plays really, really fun and unique compared to the other sets we have now. But also, speaking of fun and unique decks, is the switch mechanic from Sword Art Online. This is a way that plays with your favorite characters from the title and get extra attacks in. And plus, if you know me, I just love playing blue and purple decks in general for just the consistency and draw factor that they have, where green is more the flashy top end that I like. So even if I'm not the biggest Sword Art Online fan, it is undeniable how huge of an announcement this is for Union Arena, because these fans are wild, just kind of like Fate. I mean, everything Sword Art Online, going back to Weiss, going back to the games, there's always a lot of traction surrounding it. So I think this will be a massive boost for the game, and something that I'll be really excited to see overall, because again, it adds something new and fun to the game. Mechanics wise, I think everyone will be able to appreciate. Now, yes, I got to give the casual plug of Log Horizon when, right? Like, give me the anime of this series that I like, or even more. Let's go to Dot Hack, right? Bandai, you still own this. Please bring back Dot Hack in some form. I am begging you. But other than that, I think this is one that many players will be excited to, collect as well, because hopefully, as I have here on the right side, is the serialized action points are also going to be included. And this is one that is technically still up in the air as it stands today, because we haven't got them confirmed for One Punch Man. We are still waiting to see what comes of that announcement, but we'll have to see kind of where this lands between the Japan versus North American versions and what else we get, right? We did get the North American exclusive alt arts and signatures, the new tournament promos and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that they're doing for North America, but time and time again, in terms of what people have been asking for, what I hear people are most excited for, is definitely these serialized action points. And also, shout out to the TRM was also updated. I think it was either updated last week or the week before. But if I remember correctly, there was a passage in there that also says you're allowed to have signed cards now, like actual voice actors autographed. So even if you just have like the regular foils or something, you can still get it signed by your favorite voice actors. And there's no weird ruling where the judge is going to snipe you for it, right? Because the TRM is going to accept it. So that's a really cool thing as well. Again, I think Sword Art Online is going to be absolutely huge. And then from a release window perspective, this is where it gets a little bit muddy. We're further out from, where these are popping up in either distributor information pages or just official announcements from Bandai, that we technically don't know the release date yet for even Black Clover or Full Metal Alchemist at the time of recording. So assuming that we're going to see one more double up month like we did see for Bleach and Hunter x Hunter, this will probably land May or June. So the good news is, if you're watching this video when it goes live, you have plenty of time to talk to your LGS and pre-order your case. This is definitely a set that I think will sell out and be very limited, much like JJK, because not enough is being printed due to the demand. Again, I think this is just going to be one of the most popular Union Arena sets of all time. And also, it was a record breaker for Japan UA. So lots of positivity around this set in particular. Again, shout out Log Horizon or Dot Hack. Let's get those in as well. But I think, again, from an overall standpoint, this is something that people are going to be very excited about to both collect and play, because it's so fun, that I'm really curious to see how this kind of boosts overall attendance for events. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is just the recent news, and this is kind of where it splits between Union Arena news versus kind of the overall industry that I want to talk about. But I did share this on Twitter, and if I remember, or if I forget, please, call me out in the comments so I remember. But there was a interview with the president/CEO of Bushiroad talking about, the Bushiroad Plan Next presentation, where they talk about their games, upcoming products, all the good stuff, right? Bandai does the same thing. It's a very, standardized thing that they're doing. However, there was one call out in particular where they talk about the increase in demand of serialized and autograph cards. Spoiler, from Union Arena demand. So this is where we start to see the need or the desire for the market to change as collectors and players alike are starting to collect these. So there will be more of this in the future that we can look forward to in terms of just what other card games in general are probably going to get them, but something that I thought was just a really interesting call out because we all know, or if you follow Japan Union Arena, it went from this story of the first couple sets really didn't do too well. There was a lot of issues with sales or overflooding the market. People didn't know if Volume 2 was going to happen. And then they made some smart changes. They introduced these serialized cards as well. And then suddenly the demand just spiked through the roof. And then they also got sets like Nikkei, obviously, and like Arknights is coming around the corner. Those are just going to be selling absolutely banger of numbers, all things considered. But that does point to, as we have here from literally the head of a company, right, that would care about this sort of thing, admitting to indirectly, to be fair, but the market is changing. Union Arena, as we think about the impact it might have on Weiss or other IP/title collector games, it is coming in swinging, all things considered. And as I've mentioned, kind of leading up to Union Arena's release, and as I mentioned, kind of some other market thought videos, this is a good thing. Weiss by itself has been able to just coast along for a very long time, and they haven't been challenged. So by seeing Union Arena enter the market and the president himself acknowledging that there needs to be some changes, we should hopefully start to see some improvements for the Weiss side of things as well, right? I want to be very clear. The absolute worst case scenario is that Union Arena squeezes everything else out of the market. That would be catastrophically bad for all of us involved, that being the players, collectors, what have you, right? The ecosystem as it stands, because we do need to see healthy competition for, the rising tide rises all boats, right? We need everyone to be able to get in and appreciate their specific card game while not also feeling slighted because Union Arena has so much better prize support at the local level, and probably soon regional level if we get the Japan stuff. Different topic, but it is something that we want to see as all these card games grow together, and why it's actually quite interesting to then see, as I'll talk about here in the next few moments, the overall sales that we're seeing as well, that yes, having really important events that players are happy to attend and that there's not a lot of barriers of entry and stuff like that can be really important because they also want the prize side of it to be worth something. Obviously, nothing can compete right now to One Piece and just the actually insane prices that their prize cards are going for, but we still do see some valuable stuff in other games like Star Wars or Lorcana that are still putting up really good attendance numbers and also prizing for the various types of events. So it's really good to see it, and this is, I thought, important enough to call out because yes, Union Arena is having a massive impact here, but we also need to then understand, okay, cool, everyone acknowledges that this needs to change, but what's going to happen? And unfortunately, this is one of those things that you really can't do anything or see any meaningful changes until like a year from now, probably. Like, yes, probably 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, depending on what Bushiroad's cycle is looking like. They might be able to slide something into a set and start to get more of this going forward. But I think from an overall market standpoint, and obviously Japan is way more saturated in the number of trading card games that they have, so there's definitely a focus on that side to be more competitive and to stand out above the rest. But I do think this is a change that we're going to start to see from a global perspective. Moving on from there, this is where if there's a section of this video that's going to get me in the most trouble, it's going to be this one. And admittedly, this is something that I spent like 4 hours on, and this is hopefully going to be the shortest part of the video, and maybe I'll do a follow-up. If you find this section interesting, let me know. I will do a follow-up and try to do a proper deep dive. But the one thing I really want to then look at is overall, Union Arena seems to be selling very well, right? If we look at the TCG Player volume, just from a boxes perspective, shout out again to Eggman and Events and having 400 Renji sold in 24 hours after it won his event. So players are very invested in the game as well. There's just a lot to talk about in terms of the overall market health itself. Now, there are, again, a lot of disclaimers that I probably need to be very, very upfront about, in that TCG Player itself is not the end-all be-all of the market, right? This is just a small sliver, all things considered, of the greater TCG industry, and also North American focused only. We don't have things like Card Market to consider. So again, sorry if you're from outside of North America. This whole part of the video doesn't apply to you, and do not look at this other than, hey, how are things doing in North America, right? This is by no means indicative of how these games are doing in other regions. This is, again, a very small slice of the pie. And then the last thing to also consider here is that some games, if you've been, again, following this channel for a while, I've been covering more niche trading card games for almost 10 years now, but we also know, just by watching the industry and just playing a slew of games in the past, is that some games are going to be more LGS focused and have a very weak online presence, where some games, because the community is so split out in other regions or it's hard to get a hold of, a variety of other factors, they might be exclusively online or 90% online sales as well. So when we look at this from just a overall perspective, and I did close out some of these here, the orange or yellowish orange bars here are the big three. So Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering, where I just wanted to put in a smattering of some of the other cases that we saw. So I went ahead and did, I think it was like 27 card releases or something absurd like that. And I just went at the last 3 months, and maybe this deserves some type of follow-up, but the reason why I kind of started doing this and trying to dig into it is because, yes, Union Arena, it's a brand new game launch, right? Top 10 sales of TCG Player, just in terms of traffic, is a very good sign. I mean, yes, it's also a new game, so there's a lot of hype for it for that reason, but also just, what does this mean for future sets? Because now we have a sort of benchmark to say, hey, JJK is around the corner. Is that going to do more than Bleach, or is it going to do less than Hunter x Hunter, right? So this started as a strictly wanting to gauge kind of the popularity of each one of these titles or games or series that we get for Union Arena and stack them up once another. But as I was kind of digging into this and looking at the overall volume for boxes and just kind of where things landed, there was some very interesting numbers. And of course, if I was just a crappy clickbaiter like every other YouTuber feels like these days, I would say, oh my God, Battle Spirits is selling more boxes on TCG Player than Flesh and Blood. Abandoned ship, Fab is dead, right? But that's not what's happening here. And I think it's very clear that if we also take into things like player attendance and also know like how many armories are firing, like there is a lot more to be discussed here, but we again have a very small sample size. So of the overall market, to be clear. So again, I just wanted to do like a very quick visual, and this is something that truly I might go back to and just do a follow-up video, and maybe I do like a 2024 year in review, talk about the boxes sold, think about what it means. Because again, all this comes back to is like, I just really missed the ICV2 industry reports that we got in North America. And technically these weren't at all good compared to the Japan reports that, companies are putting out directly. The ICV2 is more of like a distributor ask and tell sort of situation. And it wasn't like the best of numbers or representations, or it was just a flat ranking as well. So we had no idea what the volume difference was. So when I was digging through this and I was looking at the overall boxes, and yes, some of them were meant to be the latest set for like the first 5 weeks. So 1 week of pre-sales, 30 days after sort of thing. I try to do only the newest set for each of these games, but then I noticed that some of these are admittedly lower or different than what I thought. So I wanted to include 2 releases for each game. And then I quickly just, mapped this out and talked about, okay, where are we at for volume of sales, boxes sold, all that good stuff, right? And this is where everything lands. However, the other part of this that I really want to acknowledge is, boxes only tell part of a story. And also loose boxes, as we've seen with games like Weiss Schwarz and some Card Fight Vanguard sets. I actually did talked to a few people in the Vanguard community that I could get a hold of that they seem to have gone away from that. I got a shout out from, or I have to give a shout out to Jeff Jones for telling me a little bit about the Yu-Gi-Oh set. And then also T, thank you for giving me the information on the Flesh and Blood side, right? So I did do a little bit of research trying to talk to my various friends of who's playing what and kind of give me the scope of why this set is good or bad. And I think one of the most interesting kind of, dynamics that happens here is that from the Yu-Gi-Oh side, it's a very good set to open. Everyone wants to open it. It has high cards, good EV, insane, right? And then on the very opposite end is James White himself said, sorry, Flesh and Blood kind of sucks to open, right? Obviously paraphrasing a little bit, but just to really show the dynamic. And this happens in other card games as well, right? Unless this is somehow you're watching this and Union Arena is your first game of all time and the first set you've ever opened ever, you know that there are going to be good and bad sets. It just naturally happens. That could be because of sale value. It could be because of lower power, whatever it it might be, there are good and bad, sets to look into from a TCG player lens, which is also why I really want to maybe come back and do this and do like a proper 2024 in review. But again, that only gave us part of the picture when I reach out to all of them. And then I decided to take this one step further and talk about the number of singles moved, right? So where boxes might be focused more on a collector side because people are trying to chase those last cards, if we look at singles moved, this is point blank people who are buying to play the game, right? And this is, to me, the most important health determining factor just from a overall, okay, is the singles market healthy? Is there a decent volume of cards moving and things of that nature? So the one thing I want to note here is that from the boxes sold, I still have that on the right. And then on the individual cards, I just took whatever was the highest super rare equivalent for each of these games, stacked them up, and just threw a number on them. And I just realized I missed the Lorcana one as I was reformatting this, but there you go. Lorcana technically had more. Daisy Duck sold more copies than Jack on TCG Player, right? Again, this doesn't count things like eBay. This doesn't count in-person LGS sales outside of the platform. There are still a large number of factors to consider here. However, as we're looking at the bigger picture and we're trying to then take the singles moved data in combination with the boxes, Union Arena looks pretty good, all things considered, for the Bleach set. And that is, of course, going to be the more popular one. We've seen that it had like 350 more boxes sold than Hunter x Hunter. And that's going to happen as well, right? This happens in Weiss, and why I included a number of Weiss sets as well, that some are popular, some are not popular, some are unfortunately going to be flops, right? I'm going to call myself out every single time I talk about this topic, but I am really excited for Tales of Arise in Union Arena if we ever get that set, because there's a really cool control deck in it. And then also I just played that game and it was my first Tales game, not to sell myself out here, but it was my first Tales game and I loved it. And I will eventually go back and play the others, but just something to consider in terms of, I know that would be a very bad set. I'm sure it would sell less than Hunter x Hunter, right? Like, I have no doubt in my mind, if we take every single title that is now confirmed for Union Arena, we rank them up once again, you would have like 1 through, what are we at, like 9 confirmed now, I think? 1 through 9, you would like need to leave some blank spaces because it's just that low. And then like number 15 would be Tales of Arise, right? I get it. I am very, self-aware in that regard, which then also means less boxes, less singles, just less movement on TCG Player overall. However, I will say overall, the one that really surprised me and that stuck out, again, both box sales and legendary sales in this case for the name of the card itself, was Star Wars Unlimited. And I do have some friends that are playing, and I know there's been some drama around like the planetary qualifiers and a whole bunch of other slew of pricing issues and what have you, but overall it is received very positive from the community. And I know that FFG, unfortunately, nobody wants to see collector boxes if that's what it is, and there's some questionable decisions being made, but it has a lot of momentum going for it right now that if Star Wars Unlimited can continue to improve upon itself and move forward and continue this global expansion, it's kind of crazy to think about, again, for someone who's been following games for 10 years, right? We always talked about the big three: Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Nothing's going to dethrone them. There's been a lot of attempts. There's been a lot of close stuff like Force Will making number 5 sales in North America when it came out, which was absurd at the time. And then One Piece came out, right? Just guns blazing, insane. Took the entire industry by storm, broke dozens, if not hundreds of records, depending on if we count like local, like insane, right? It cannot be stressed enough how absolutely absurd One Piece has been from a success standpoint globally, period. And then we had Lorcana come out, and Lorcana is in big box stores, which really helps push sales. And obviously, I know it's at like Disney World, Disneyland, and all that stuff as well, but it has other points of sales that you can buy in. And this is huge for just getting the game out there and making it accessible for players. Obviously, it was a little bit difficult at the start, but Lorcana is amazing because it's bringing in this whole new generation into the hobby, which admittedly is what we needed, all things considered. And then the last one here that, kind of as I was putting all this together, thinking about the games overall, yes, Star Wars is still new compared to like Digimon, which is still going just fine, right? Like all things considered, I know that people are probably looking at this, and the one thing that maybe stuck out is that Fusion World had way more boxes sold. And then I wanted to do a separate deep dive, but now I just realized I forgot of like how many copies have been sold for Fusion World of the SR equivalent. But Digimon is still going very strong and has a good presence, where Star Wars is, now just coming out of the gate, getting rolled on, and the momentum is still building. So I think for me, maybe the most interesting part of this, if you take nothing else from this whole video, like the one interesting section to me is going to be what happens to Star Wars over the next year, right? Like, again, I know there's a little bit of push and pull that's happening right now, but it's definitely a game that I did play it. I have the set 1 decks that I kept for my own personal self. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but gameplay-wise, it's good. It's definitely something that I would say if you love Star Wars, you have to play this game because mechanically, it's just very, very sound. But it does beg the question of which way is this going to go, because I think it is in a rising opportunity that if we then see One Piece and Lorcana, I think are already cemented. As long as Lorcana gets their proper global rollout, I'll say Big 5, 100%. But if Star Wars can continue to grow, and what's going to be really crazy to wrap up this entire train of thought is that we could see a Big 6, I guess, right? Like, this is something that just seems unreal. It seems absolutely whimsical to think about in the grand nature of like how long I've been following card games and seeing this happen in real time right in front of me as we think about some of these larger tournaments that are happening, players being excited to play, and just overall really good sales volume. Now I'll have to go and try to see if there's any EU data after the fact or other regions, but at least in North America, this is a very strong sign. So all that out of the way, let's now talk about the hype around playing Union Arena, right? Now, you've seen these cards before. They are for the Rare Battle. That will be a side event in Orlando, but also coming to your LGS. But the thing that's really stand out here is that day 1 sold out instantly. Admittedly, full disclaimer, I think they could have done better on the pricing because we know what they've done for Japan Union Arena and for both their, regional level and championship level. There's some really cool stuff that they could have done. Now, I'm going to assume it's going to be some type of licensor issue or whatever it might be, right? But the fact that we've seen such a stark difference in the pricing between this event and Japan's Union Arena events, something went wrong. That's the only thing that I can think of at this point. But all that aside is that it sold out instantly, and this is 256 players. And not only did day 1 sell out instantly, but day 2 was also up that people found out by mistake. They're getting refunded, but day 2 then also sold out within 20 minutes once people found out there was another event that they could sign up for. So I think people are very excited to just get out and play Union Arena as well. And this is a very good sign for the game, right? And I think a lot of this comes back to how has Weiss done in the market over the last 16 years, I think it's been, and I forget how long in North America, but generally speaking, Weiss didn't have a very good amount of prize support at the local or regional level. And yes, I am also a Weiss player myself. I played Fairy Tail in Log Horizon. Again, shocker, Log Horizon plug, please bring it to Union Arena. As well as Attack on Titan, some other ones. So not to date myself, but if you look up when those sets came out, you realize how long ago that I've played Weiss. But it is still something that I kind of keep an eye on. I know people are really excited for the free end set that's coming out, and there are still some good titles that they're getting. However, from a pricing standpoint, Union Arena definitely is knocking this out of the park. There are uncut sheets. There's special serialized cards like this that you can get. Like, there's just so much going on that it's not all that surprising that these events are selling out as fast as they are. And then the other half of this that I got to give a huge shout out to Bondi, like, again, credit where credit is due. Day 2, and I didn't make sense to me for the longest time, and I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. But if you notice on the website, day 2 registration is not until way later, which is, spoiler, a week after the launch of JJK, which, again, I think this is going to be one of the biggest sets for Union Arena because it is both the serialized card, it's one of the best decks, if not going to be the best deck in the format for a very long time, and it's also at one of the hypest peaks for the anime itself. So I put it in 2 cases at my LGS, like when pre-orders were due, just to make sure I got one, because I'm sure allocation's going to hit, right? It is something that I am very curious to see how it's going to go. But again, huge shout out here to Bondi for making the registration open 1 week after JJK launches so that new players who are coming into the game don't just miss out on Orlando because they weren't interested in the game at the Bleach or Hunter x Hunter launch, but were very excited for JJK. So again, huge kudos for at least planning ahead. Wonderful mistake or not, however it happened, right? But it seems very deliberate that they would wait for the day 2 to open for JJK fans so that they have a chance to participate. And for me, that is a huge props that I love to see. Because again, I do think this thing is going to be a massive set. And then also, day 1 and day 2 feed into this grand champion reveal where the winner of everything is going to get a free flight and hotel to Worlds, which again also begs the question of, is Worlds just Japan and there's going to do like a special JP versus NA, one format type of thing where they would have to play like the NA cards, I assume, just because it's the set changes for like Bleach, right? And each player gets to pick like 3 decks, do a conquest, whatever it might be, right? There's a lot of cool stuff that they could do for this that I really hope they do. So we'll have to wait and see. And well, unfortunately, it won't be me because hopefully I'll be doing other things at Orlando. But I'm very excited to see everyone who comes out and gets to celebrate the game and has a lot of fun with it because, again, I think we are going to start to see just this steady increase of people who are coming into Union Arena because there is just good set after good set that we are getting. And so that is a quick roundup, at least my thoughts for the first month of Union Arena. I know the TCG Player section was a little bit longer compared to everything else that I want to touch on, but I thought it was still in the context of this video, and maybe in the future, again, let me know in the comments if you want to see a more proper deep dive of just a whole year in review, right? Since we're not getting the ICV2 reports, somebody has to do something, I guess, right? But overall, I think we are in a very good standing point here from, month 1. And looking again at the lineup, I think it's very clear that Bandai just wants to do massive hit after massive hit, try to get into as many stores as possible, expand their footprint, right? We're opening up to 4 distributors now for Bandai, which is a huge deal. Bandai North America is also back. Like, there is a lot of positive momentum going into 2025. And admittedly, because I'm also a Gundam fan, I now have a game that I'm looking forward to myself for playing at more competitive threshold. Because again, to get this on record here, I've said it on Facebook, I've said it a billion times, people have asked me, but for me, Union Arena is a game that all my friends can at least have a deck for because they're going to have their favorite anime or title eventually and play a game at like Gen Con or some bigger event while they are still maining their, whatever their current game is, be it Lorcana, be it Star Wars, whatever it might be. Because at the end of the day, I've just been doing this for so long and I've met so many great friends across a wide variety of games that is just impossible for me to stay up to date on all those various games. But if there is someone who, can keep all of Union Arena together, and then I could at least provide them with information if they get into it, I'm more than happy to be that guy. And plus, Union Arena is just fun. Like, it is a super flavorful game that I really enjoy playing. Like the Bomber deck. If you haven't played the Bomber deck, this is also like my Bomber propaganda for Blue Hunter x Hunter. It's just a silly, fun deck. And if you win those turns off the gambling with risky dice, it's just the best feeling in the world. I have no other way to say it, but it's just such a high that you can get while playing that deck. So I'm having a lot of fun. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more content to come for Union Arena. Obviously, very excited for Gundam as well. And of course, as I have time, I will sprinkle in some other upcoming game announcements that I'm looking for. Ultraman is one that will be on the channel as well. And then Warlord coming out in January, or I think it's early February now off the top of my head, that I'm also interested in to see kind of where it goes and the really cool organized play stuff that they're doing. So with that, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What games you might currently be playing. Did the TCG Player data surprise you? Or what is your favorite Union Arena title that you are looking for? But until then, lots more to look forward to, hopefully soon. Until then, my friends, stay safe, stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.